Can you tell us a bit about your real estate background?
Yeah, sure. So, Erwin, I've been in real estate 20 years here in South Florida. Actually, I started at the very bottom. I started, ironically, in fractionalized ownership, working for the Radisson Hyatt Corporation, selling timeshares. Learned that industry, beautiful industry. And then I got into working with selling new construction developers, selling multi-million dollar homes. And then within the last 10 years, I've actually worked also almost exclusively with investors in the secondary mortgage market. So I've worked a lot with hedge funds, institutional investors, banks, helping them navigate the crash from 2009, liquidating assets, acquiring assets, and helping them sell those assets and valuing them, and basically as an asset manager, for the last 10 years. And then within the last about 2.5 years, luckily I stumbled into blockchain technology. And I tell you what, I kind of went down in the rabbit hole, as they say, fell in love with it, and just saw huge applications for my industry. For real estate, I was like, wow, this could really revolutionize the way we look at real estate. And about a year ago, about a year and a half ago, I came up with the idea for Real Trade, and then we formed the company a year ago. And we're working really hard on going live. We have a great team. We're out there, putting the platform together, going live. We have a lot of interest here in South Florida, and actually California too as well, in the real estate community. So a lot of people see this as the future of real estate. What we're doing on our platform.
Can you explain how the technology would, for example, even my understanding is not that great. For the layman, they don't even know what blockchain is.
Yeah.
So what is the technology going to do to improve the real estate industry?
Yeah. So there's two big aspects that you can use the technology to improve our industry. I guess let me go through the first one first, which is creating community. The whole idea, kind of the theory behind blockchain that everybody knows of is like with, for instance, Bitcoin. Everybody knows that's the first one that comes on the tip of people's tongue. And how it works is it's a distributed system where people that are running the system, computers, nodes, actually get value in the system that they're running. And it's decentralized, no single place for failure, but they're getting value from it. So that's why Bitcoin is gaining so much momentum and so much value, because it's community driven and the community is gaining value. So the miners, for instance, they get rewarded in Bitcoin when they run the ledger, this decentralized ledger that's all over the world. So that theory, in sense, you can apply that to any kind of field to build any kind of community. It doesn't have to be just computers. It could be people that get rewarded in a platform's currency. So we have our own currency that's going to power all of Real Trade, called the Real. And as people come on the platform and add content and add value, for instance, they're the miners instance, they're getting rewarded with the value of our currency, which is the Real. And there's a set supply that'll ever exist in the platform. So they're gaining the value. There's set supply and demand, Metcalfe's law. Then as the community grows and there's more avenues for that currency to be accepted for payment, what's going to happen to the value of the currency?
It'll go up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first aspect. That's where the tokenization on a currency would work. But what's really exciting too on the second part is the tokenization of real assets, of real estate. Where you can take a piece of real estate, and what's called tokenize it into individual, almost like shares of real estate. And then that distributed ledger, that blockchain can keep track of who owns those shares, and you have ownership of that real estate. Kind of like a REIT, like a trust, like a real estate trust, but even better, because it wouldn't have to be traded in just one place. You could take it all over the world with you, and you'd actually own it. And the whole world could say, hey, he owns that piece of real estate.
So for like mom and pop, what would their application be? Well, how would they interact with Real Trade or with the Real?
Yep. So the big thing on our phase one, there's two phases to Real Trade. The first one of the phase that we're going to do, and I kind of touched on that with our own currencies, we're going to build a trusted global community and database real estate. We're going to have our own currency that we're going to power to do that. But what it allows users, mom and pops here, is to list their properties on Real Trade. It doesn't have to be tokenized in first phase one. Is list their properties for trade or sale or rent on our platform. And that allows anybody in the network then to see that real estate that's for sale. and you're going to be rated by the community for accuracy. All the people that are on the platform are going to be able to see it, and you're going to be able to find the best title companies, best real estate agents, all the best people that you need for real estate to create community. Yeah.
Because there is no global platform where there is no consolidated place, right?
Correct. See, I'm not sure. You're in Canada, so I'm not sure exactly how it works in Canada. But here in the United States, there's actually over 900 MLS boards. Think of them almost like data silos. That there's these 900 MLS boards. They're private entities. You have to pay money to list your property onto their platform. Okay, that allows other agents to see it. But then they're taking that data, okay, and they're selling it to these big portals in Silicon Valley, like Zillow and Truly and Realtor.com, that are then using that data to build their system. That allows other people to see it. But how do they make money from that data? They're actually selling leads from that data back to the very people that are creating it, which are the agents.
Yeah, the agents, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, so it's basically they're actually adding
agents.
More money to the system. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's inefficient. So why don't we just create a trusted global community and database ourselves, right? People that put the content on, and then those leads come directly to you.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that's what real trade is. That's what it does in phase one.
Oh,
See, that's
fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know if the real estate boards actually have any sort of legislation that requires you to actually list there. No, you don't. The owners can basically, an owner of a home can list their house anywhere they want.
Of course. Yeah, or an agent. Like you don't have to list just with your MLS board. You can put your proper sale in the MLS, or you can put it in a newspaper. I mean, it's just put it in another place for sale. You know what I mean?
Fascinating.
Yeah. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a trusted global community database for real estate. So that quality of that data now is rated by the community, and the big thing is the users now can go directly to the agent that knows about the property. It's not like Zillow where they call the agent on Zillow. You think you're calling the listing agent. You're not.
Yeah.
You're just whoever just pays the most money to be the preferred agent on the system.
Right.
So
correct me if I'm wrong, just for the listeners' benefit. So there are third-party companies. They will basically most agents and most brokerages give the right for other places to advertise their listings, and there are companies that like you mentioned that will display the listing and then they'll put their own contact information on it. So if you're interested in that property, they suggest that you contact them, and they don't even actually have anything to do with the property other than they just mirrored it from somewhere else.
Correct.
Right. So am I oversimplifying by saying you're almost like trying to cut out the middleman?
That's the whole theory behind blockchain, right?
Right. Yeah, blockchain too. Yeah. Well,
that's the whole theory behind Bitcoin or anything is you go peer to peer with your goods and services. You cut out the banks, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same theory, taking it to a global platform for real estate. So you get, it's just creating a fair, free market where people, can compete and they can decide what agents they want, and you don't have to pay all these big commissions, that are there. So it'll be a free market on deciding, what kind of services you want and what agent you have, and you can see their closings. Same with title companies,
Fascinating. How open will the data be? Like, well, I'm sure there's some things that you still keep private. Well, so for example, in Ontario and Toronto, our own government basically said that the realtor data is public information.
Yep.
I don't even know how. So for example, sale price. First I know people that won't tell you what their house sold for, but the government has said that is now public information. So what information will Real Trades share? Will you share like the seller's name and how much the mortgage is and stuff like that?
Well, that's funny you say that. Actually, in America, that's already public information. People can search that out in each county and do that. But no, we don't have to share that. I mean, that doesn't have to share the seller's name and different things like that. Now, there's a big thing here. There's a big push right now because just the way the MLSs are secretive with their data as far as commissions, because a lot of states are making the MLSs share that data of how much commissions they're paying, just because they want some transparency there with different things. That's the thing, when the consumer's becoming smarter. They want the best data. They want to make informed decisions. They want to see everything that the seller see, that the agents would see. They want to have that same information. So the genie's out of the bottle, so it's just like, why not embrace it, and create a trusted global community database where everybody gets that information and can make informed decisions. Let the market decide, let the free market decide on that.
This is all fascinating. And then once your real, how does that even happen? How do you create your own currency?
Yeah, we actually already have that created, Erwin. It's already been distributed to.
Show me your wallet. Okay.
Yeah, I have the wallet. Actually, you can do it we're on EOS Links, which is awesome. We're using EOS as our basebone for our own token. Now, we're not married to them. We can eventually, create our own, fork off and have our own side chain if we want, and different things like that. But it's pretty exciting, so there's a set supply that'll ever exist, for ours. And what we're trying to do is through our community that we're creating, right? This trusted global community is with attorneys and title companies, anybody in real estate, roofers, developers, is they could accept the currency as payment for their goods and services. Almost like a marketing thing. Because think about it, you have millions of people, especially agents too, that have this currency, and people can advertise them going, hey, we're going to give these goods and services for this currency. And, we already have some people accepting that as as payment.
Right. For the listeners' benefit, because I've spent some time thinking about this, with the blockchain style currency, with the quote unquote cryptocurrency. I guess no one probably, I don't know if people like that name or not.
Cryptocurrency, I get it. Yeah.
But it can because it's not regulated by governments or banks. It can flow anywhere. It is a market. It is pretty close to a perfect market. And by definition, I'm not endorsing it or anything. I'm just saying I'm using like the financial markets definition of what a perfect market is, meaning it's unobstructed. It's borderless. And for anyone who is completely gun ho on free markets, how would this work though? For example, I think we all know, anyone who's in real estate knows there's a lot of foreign investment. You work with foreign investors too, even though they're Canadian. You're in Florida. You work with foreign investors.
Exactly. I work with a lot of Canadians over the years. Yeah.
And so is that what would happen? Canadians could use reals as a currency to purchase property in Florida?
That's eventually the long-term. Yeah, I mean, that's eventually our long-term vision is the real is going to be used to buy real estate all over the world and rent real estate. You know what I mean? And that's the long-term vision. It's going to take a while for people to come comfortable with that, of course.
Of course, it'll take a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. But, we already have places, some places here that are accepting reals for rent, some shared office spaces and different things. Because the thing is, it's great marketing for them going, hey, we'll give you a couple months for X amount of reals, is a marketing thing. So, as it gets trust and it gets bigger, I mean, people are actually selling and buying homes here in Florida with cryptocurrencies already. I mean, so it doesn't really matter which one it is. It's like you nailed it on the head, Erwin, it's a free market. It's actually the freest market that ever existed. These are worth what people, think they're worth.
And was there any, is there any coincidence that real is the currency of the Brazil?
You put it real for real estate, RE for real estate, AL, but it's spelled different than theirs too. Ours is REAL. You could be the real. You could pronounce it real. But we just kind of take that name real because it reflects real estate.
Right. It sounds foreign.
Yeah. Cool.
This is fascinating. But and then
this is very futuristic, Erwin. You're actually wrapping your head around it better than most.
I've thought about it for a while because I'm trying to, because no different than anyone who's an entrepreneur has to be forward looking, right? I need to understand the application, and also how to potentially benefit. Like going back to the foreign investor example, our government here in Ontario and also in British Columbia on the west side, they're deliberately taxing foreign investment on real estate. So, and I'm not. This is an endorsement of a policy or governments, but they're basically trying to stop things like this. But for the homeowner, do they really care? Most homeowners I know, home sellers I know, are usually just interested in the bottom line and how much they can get for their home.
Yeah, like I said, there could be an arbitrage here. If one person, really likes the real, they could give a little better price on the real, then someone uses that, and then they arbitrage it and sell it for for cash and make that little bit of spread. I mean, those kind of things would happen, I'm sure, and any kind of, like you would on any, think about like, us real estate people, we love to trade, right? I mean, that's what we're doing really in real estate is we're trading. It's something I learned from these big hedge fund guys. They don't call it buying and selling real estate. They call it trading. You're just trading positions, trying to build up to more and more real estate. You know what I mean? So it's very, very interesting. But so it's a free and fair market, and it's gonna, it'll be interesting to see how it all works.
Will there be a phase that includes lending?
Well, that's something that's really exciting on the lending side. That's in our white paper too, and a part of a vision is here. Like, you can not just tokenize equity, right? It's like a trust, right? You tokenize a trust that actually owns the underlying real estate. Is you can actually tokenize the debt as well. So you could crowdfund for debt, and give people you cut out the banks that way. Where we could fund for debt to lend people on commercial real estate or even residential real estate, and then you'd have a token that represents a portion of that debt.
Right.
And there could be a secondary market for that token as well.
Yeah, my brain is broken already.
This is not, by the way, this isn't like, I'm stuck here, way in the future here. Some of this stuff is happening now. There's actually tokenized real estate projects that are tokenizing the equity side and the debt side right now as well. There's a big deal down here in Miami, that $66 million deal that NVM just did, tokenized real estate. Actually, WeWork building that they just tokenized, that they're doing right now. Actually, the law firm that we're with called Greenspoon and Motter helped them walk through that whole process.
From what you're telling me, this is all new to me. Sounds like it's way ahead of where I think it is. So there will literally be banks that will write you mortgages using well, in your future they'll write you a mortgage instead of dollars. It's reals.
I mean, that could be the future. I mean, of course. I mean, it's amazing. There's so many different avenues that you could go with this. I mean, you have the real, which would be the current trusted currency. If you think about it, the community got big enough and trusted enough where people use that as payments. Remember, Bitcoin started with the first trade. Everybody knows what it was, right?
I actually don't know.
It was the very first trade for Bitcoin was 10,000 Bitcoins for a pizza. That's how it started. Literally. Pretty expensive pizza now, you know what I mean? But that's how it started. It started the first trade.
What's a coin now? $9,000 or $12,000?
$10,000, I think, right? Something like that. So yeah, 10,000 of them. That's millions of dollars for a pizza. But of course, that's when it first started. Remember, people are like, "Oh, it doesn't have any value. It's just internet money."
Yeah.
It's the same thing with anything.
The first gold nugget was worthless.
Yeah. Exactly. Tell people you want it. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. But where it gets really exciting, this is where you can gain a lot of value in the real. When we get into the tokenization aspect on the platform, when we start tokenizing real assets and these tokens are being made that represent ownership of real estate, those tokens then could be traded against the real. So that would be a pairing on the platform where those tokens then are traded against the real, against the currency of the platform. And that's, you can start getting some real value into the currency as well, because people are actually buying and selling the real estate tokens with that currency as a pairing.
Fascinating. How are folks able right now to list a property on your platform?
Well, we're working on our MVP right now. Actually, we're in development right now, so that's pretty soon. We're working on that right now. Time frame. It's it's still being worked on, but we're working on it right now. They can check out our website realtrade.io for updates, and then also our social media channels. Links are on there as well. But the thing is, like, I don't have to. I want to get listeners to understand is like, this is going to happen for real estate, and it's going to be. It's almost like the democratization of real estate, where you can gain value from adding value to a system. And think about it as as almost like Facebook. Those people that first started really going on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, is they gained some value. What they do is the company kept growing and growing and growing.
Right.
I mean, that's I think is what's exciting.
Right. And the first phase is basically a globalized MLS. It's not. It can be in any currency then, essentially. Yeah,
remember, the people don't have to sell their homes or rent their homes in reals. They can offer it, but they don't have to. You know what I
Right.
mean? They don't have
Right.
to do it. So they can gain value, in the thing in the system by just having more eyes on their listing, or the users get better data.
Right.
Imagine the users getting all that data that in a transparent way to make clear buying decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and thing is, as bad as we complain about the United States and Canada that we have, at least we have some kind of system. Remember, like in Europe or South America or the Caribbean, they don't even have that. It's just a free for all that, people, are listing of properties in newspapers or on a broker website, and you don't know what properties are worth. You know what I mean? You don't know, you don't have that trusted data. So again, real trade could really help service these other places in the world. Because if you want to really lift up a third world country, is lift up their real estate. Get people to invest and trust in their real estate in those countries.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, and well, yeah. For example, like I was in Haiti on a cruise not that long ago, and it's a gorgeous country, and I'm sure they have lots of gorgeous oceanfront property. But where would you go to look at property? And then would you trust it?
Exactly. Would you trust some agent or title company didn't know, or this? Imagine there was a platform going, wow, look at this guy's actually closed a bunch of deals with Canadians. Here's Canadians' reviews, right? Here's
Right.
sold. Here's the prices they've sold for. You can make an informed decision.
Right.
That's one thing I scared to death about buying property in Bahamas. It's like you don't even know what you're buying or who's to trust for business as well.
Right. So it'll have to be largely around the company and the individual that you have to trust. Because, for example, my friend owns a property in Costa Rica in Jaco Beach, and it's not like North America where we have a legal description for the property. We have a unique identifier for our property, and that's linked to the owner, us, and it's in a database in the government. Hopefully, one day that database will be blockchain technology, so it's safe.
Touching on a huge application for blockchain is.
Please explain that actually. Please explain that actually, because that was the first application. That's like the first logical application of blockchain technology to real estate.
Yep, that's a big one. It's going to happen. It's actually happening like in countries like Sweden. Sweden's going totally to the blockchain for their title registries. They were so ancient; it was just like paper. Down in the courthouses, which, ironically, in America, we have some counties that still do that. But, eventually you're going to have just about every county in the United States that'll be on blockchain for title registries, where you would have up to the second chain of title access to these properties. So you could almost just basically cut out, title fraud, that you could have it. You could have, and I've actually seen fraud in real estate down here in Florida, unfortunately. In my 20-year career, I've seen, millions of dollars, that went through litigation on different things like that. So that's a huge application.
Great. Would you mind explaining how the technology works to create security? Why it's a beneficial technology? Because I think there's a lot of people out there who tie together Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, a lot of the issues with a lot of the sketchy cryptos that were out there to blockchain. They don't really actually know how to differentiate all of them.
Yeah. So, for the listeners out there, for instance, Bitcoin, I think, been hacked, people have lost their coins. The ledger itself has never been hacked. The actual ledger's gone for 10 years on Bitcoin. That's never been hacked. What has been hacked has exchanges that are basically centralized, where they're keeping your Bitcoins under their control, and people come in and steal them that way. Okay. But if you actually have your own private wallet on Bitcoin, that's actually never been hacked. The actual code itself. So how it worked this is the vision of how it would work for the counties for title registries, is you would have what's called a permission chain, okay, where only certain people would have access to the data to put it, but it would still be distributed in the sense that it could be like one county, another government entity, and another private entity could have access, and they would all have to agree on that data as it goes in, but it's still access to the public up to the second data on that system, a lot like cryptocurrency. Does that make sense?
To me, it does. Because the way I understand it is basically you have multiple copies of the same data across several computers, so that to effectively hack it, you have to hack every single computer in order to change the record, which is, I don't know how anyone would actually do that. And the computers can be anywhere in the world.
Yep.
right? So that's what you mean by
Yeah,
that's
no,
distributed computing, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's there's no one central place for failure. And the thing is it's up to the second, right? You know, that data that's in there is up to the second that everybody can view it in real time.
Right. Right.
You know, people think about these crypto, you know, like for instance, Bitcoin, there's something secretive. People don't realize that's a public chain. Like anybody can view the transactions in real time, anytime they want.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can see exactly where every single transaction is and every single transaction has happened. Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
You know, and it's going on all over the world at all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
And for listeners' benefit, what Ryan was explaining sooner is like how land title is basically public records that are documents, paper documents to say who owned what property, and that used to be all just like filing cabinets in a basement in City Hall usually, right? That's what it was. That was the land title system, and it's not. We're not that far from it.
No, we're not that far from it. I mean, you know, this data. I mean, there's actually countries in South America that actually still go that system. If they had a fire in their, you know, in the courthouse somewhere, or, you know, their records keeping, I mean, you lose all those who owns the real estate.
Right.
I mean, imagine that. You know, so it's you know, it's the best way to transfer an asset that we've ever seen in the world history. That we've actually seen is through the blockchain to transfer any kind of ownership is through this system.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any way you recommend that folks learn more about blockchain technology? Because I try to be a forward-thinking podcast, and again, I think most people are confused by it. They think it. I'm sure some folks think it is a cryptocurrency, but really it's not. It's the technology.
Yep.
And it's a technology that can be used for many applications.
Yeah, there's some great books out there. The Bitcoin Standard was one of the first ones that I've read. But you know, there's a ton of information out there that you can read on blockchain. Actually, one of the best places that I went is I got a certificate from Kingsland University, which is the first accredited blockchain university that teaches courses on blockchain, called Kingsland, and they're amazing. You know, I went through their 3-day executive course, and there's probably no better place to learn about blockchain than go to a course like that. Crash course, executive level course would be a good one. You know, they have longer ones, and then they have a whole bunch of them. But Kingsland University would be a great one to go to, and they're accredited as well.
This is most fascinating.
Yeah, it's you know, it's something that you know, I saw it and I studied them. Like, wow, because I was looking at real estate, and I'm just like, gosh, you know, it's to survive in any kind of real estate, you have to be, you know, ready to evolve. You know, you have to be ready to, you know, because real estate is constantly changing, and you know, if you don't adapt in real estate, I mean, you're not going to make it. You know what I mean? So that's why I came really excited about it. Just let me give a couple quick examples of some applications that would be great for real estate and blockchain that I get excited about. One of them would be as a developer. You know, let's say you're developing real estate, and this would be a great way to crowd fund for your real estate. So let's say you had a real estate project that you're putting together. Let's say, for instance, had 1 million square feet. I know you use meters up there, but let's say
square feet. Actually, for real estate, square feet is quite common. But continue.
Okay, so you have 1 million square feet of this project that you have, and you wanted to raise money for the project. And typically, it takes a lot of time, a lot of people that you have to go out there to investors and banks to raise money for your project, for your real estate project, right? So imagine being able to crowdfund it, okay, where you would sell 1 million tokens. Okay, people that want to invest in your real estate project. Now, this is where it gets fun. So they buy one token, right, or however many tokens that they want to invest. They they hold them, they now own that token. And the developer now keeps some, fund himself, and makes some money for the project. He would still have control of the entity that's actually building the real estate project, and he'd be keeping some tokens as well. But he has now capital now to help, you know, to build his project. Now, as a project gets built, you create a secondary market, okay, for these tokens. And think about it, it'd be the freest real estate market that the world's ever seen, because people could now start trading those tokens based on the value of the project as it's being built. So they wouldn't have to wait until the project's finished to actually realize, you know, realize their investment. So think about this: as a project's being built now, and let's say the project's built and these tokens have been trading, and now when an end user wants to come and buy the real estate, what would they have to do? where they would have to buy the number of tokens for, like, for instance, their square footage of their actual unit. So it'd be totally transparent, what these things are trading for.
It's fascinating because
Yeah.
in our market in Toronto, it's very difficult to trade pre-construction.
Yep.
And it's very expensive. It can be really expensive, and you have to involve realtors and stuff, especially once it's all listed and whatnot.
Yep.
And for the listeners' benefit, the analogy I was trying to use in my head to explain what you're explaining is, you would basically have an equity share, in the condo development.
Yep. Correct.
Or whatever development it is.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So you'd create the most transparent free market for real estate, and there'd be nothing hidden. Everybody in real time could see what people from all over the world are trading those tokens for.
Right.
And of course the project gets built and it gets more excitement and stuff. Theoretically those tokens would gain up in value. So
right.
You're providing liquidity to a traditional illiquid market, which
right.
is real estate. And it's imagine being able to invest in real estate projects for $100. Those are the kind of things that to build wealth and start to capture value in real estate that the normal person just could never capture. They just wouldn't be able to invest in a project like that. Yeah.
So this application could be used for any startup, essentially, could it not? You're basically it's your currency, whatever the unit that you own, the token. Sorry,
be a token.
Is your equity share in whatever it is. Fascinating. And then the pessimist in me says, this is also how massive fraud can occur.
Well, this is the thing about these platforms that they're working on. There's a bunch of them, Harbor, Securitize, that are working on what's called a security token offering. This is what this would be. Is they have things in place through the platform, and RealTrade would have this where the people would have to KYC, right? They'd have to AML. Remember, their token that they have, that's tracked on the blockchain. So it's not like they would know when someone would sell that.
Right. Okay, so so this would be a regulated thing. So sorry, you said KYC, know your client. What was the other acronym?
Anti-money laundering, AML.
Okay. So this would be like treated as if you are buying a security. Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It would be treated like you're buying security. Exactly. So this is happening now. It's pretty amazing. You just change all the capital markets now. It's like we cut out the banks, right? We cut out these big VC funds that that get all that first upside on these projects, right? They're always getting in on the very ground floor because they have all the capital. Well, they're getting all the gains, and by us, usually the investors in real estate, we're already coming in late to the game. Right. You know what I mean? Even if you're buying pre-construction, you're still coming in late to the game on these projects. So this is a whole different. It's basically the democratization of real estate.
Right.
To allow everybody to build wealth in real estate. It's
right. And while the owner is also able to retain more control.
Of course. Yep.
This is wild.
Yeah, everybody's going to see exactly the cap tables of what the developer has. They're going to see if he trades his tokens. Everything's going to be there. Right, literally on the blockchain. That people can see in real time. You wouldn't have to just ever not know what the real estate's trading at.
This is wild. So would the SEC get involved in regulating this?
Well, they're working on it, right now, the regulation side, but it's they're working it through. Now, here's my thing: is why we didn't start with a tokenization, Erwin, right away, is because it's going to take it's taken probably 2 more years before it really gets worked out, but it's getting worked out. It's going to just incredibly allow development in real estate that's never existed for. Especially, for foreign investors and different things, and, that be able to invest in real estate here in America or Canada. Can you imagine, allowing, people in Asia to invest in real estate in Canada and America with a couple clicks?
Yeah, for the developer, absolutely. That'd be the dream come true for a developer, is to be able to raise money from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So you're going to see it. There's been a couple projects that they have tokenized this. There isn't a big secondary market yet for the tokens, but there was a project in Colorado where they raised, I think it was, $50 million in 24 hours through organization of the project. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to develop. And this is one other big application that I really like, that I think could really help the environment. I'm a big public land person. I love public land and being able to enjoy nature. It's a big thing in my life. And here in America, there isn't enough, especially here in Florida, there isn't enough like green spaces and public land. There's a lot of places in America where it isn't. I know in Canada you're pretty lucky with that, a lot of public land. But here we have a lot of.
You have nice beaches, right?
But allowing crowdfunding to buy natural areas, right, and then being able to take those natural areas, put them into a conservation easement. This is what the wealthy do, by the way, with their land, is you put access to that land into a conservation easement, and you allow public and people in the public to access the property and enjoy it, and then they get a return then from the state through the state. So why can't people crowdfund and start buying land, turn it into public places, and then they get the returns, but then they actually own a token that represents ownership in that land, and then be able to trade in and out of it when they want to get out of it. See what I'm saying? Just think about it. If you own the token and you're getting actually, where you're getting, they're getting rent or whatever is from the state or whatever. And remember, they know that you own that token. It's on the blockchain. So you'd be getting that dividends then whatever it's out every quarter or every year just for owning your token.
This is all wild.
But you can allow people now to invest in conservation. You can allow people to invest in green spaces now. Like, this doesn't have to be just a tool of the wealthy. Like, we could actually have a lot of public land that we could be able to buy and allow access to the public.
Right.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Quick
question about I don't know, I don't think it's security, but like know your client, anti-money laundering. So when some of these businesses are raising money, do they have to declare the source? Say the money came from overseas, or say it came from like Iran or a country that we have problems with. Like, how does that reported? Does it have to be reported?
They would. That would be recorded. I mean, there is, like, on any of these platforms that would happen on real trade is they would have to know who those people are that are buying those tokens, and then that would be tied to their identity, right? That they had that token.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be tied to their actual identity that they have. Yeah.
Right. And so the government would know then too.
You gotta remember, like in America, the SEC laws are ancient. They're going to be changing. They are changing now. They're actually looking at these digital assets, for instance, like the real or Bitcoin is actually, rather than, for instance, like they've actually they're looking at almost like property, that you had a digital property that you own. So they're looking at possibility of being able to use digital assets, for instance, like in a 1031 exchange. You could exchange your digital, like the real, for a real estate asset. Okay, and you're not realizing your gain now, and you can roll it into a 1031 exchange and not have to pay capital gains tax on that. That's being explored now. Yeah.
Are you able to do that with stocks as well?
I'm not sure on stocks. I know on real estate you do it all the time. Real estate. People, that's a big advantage in real estate is the 1031 exchange. So, it's there's a lot of aspects that honestly, innovation always outpaces regulation, right? So, you have something very innovative, very cutting edge, and regulation hasn't quite caught off to it. People are a little scared of it. I mean, it is a little bit scary when you think about, well, I have my dollars and I've always used dollars and this is this, comfortable with this. It can be a little bit scary, but, times change. Things change as we go through the future. If something's better and quicker and efficient and costs less, in these orders of magnitude better than you're doing now, then why not?
And just for the listeners' benefit, and also, Ryan, I think we don't have the 1031 exchange. We don't have anything like that in Canada. And for the listeners' benefit, it's where you, say you own a real estate, a house, say you own a house, the house appreciates, you sell it. In Canada, you have to pay tax, assuming you're not living in it. So the example is an investment property. You have to pay tax, capital gains, and then you go buy another property with whatever you have left. Versus in the States, 1031 exchange is you can investment property, it goes up in value. If you sell it and buy another property within how long? 60 days?
Yeah, there's a time frame on it that you have to, and it's changed over time. But yeah, you have a certain amount of time that you have to buy another property, then
Right.
and roll it into.
Yeah. So you can roll that. You can roll. You can roll whatever you have after you sell the house into the next property without having to be paying tax if you do it within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So we lots of investors who have fought for that, but didn't happen.
Yeah. There's a big thing now here. We just started last year, which are called opportunity zones. And this is really exciting. So if you invest in, there's all these opportunity zones throughout America, and they're kind of lower income areas, okay? But if you invest in real estate in those areas and you hold it for at least 10 years, you pay no capital gains.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you have all these people that have been rolling over these 1031 exchanges trying to not to get gains, but now they have an exit strategy of investing in these, quote unquote, lower income areas for some real estate, hold on for 10 years and not pay any capital gains.
That's imagine
brilliant. Imagine if you tokenized a project in there. Now we'd all have access to that tax deferment, mm-hmm. In these areas for real estate. So real estate really becomes a vehicle, a tool to really build wealth. I mean, it's incredible, and through the tokenization would just allow anybody now to do it.
That makes so much more sense than what Ryan. You likely don't know this but our government is rolling out this November. They're basically giving people 5 to 10% of the value of the property as a down payment. The government is giving it to them for first-time buyers if they're below a certain income. But why not? But that idea is brilliant. Just have zones where it's capital gains free. Whereas that way you help those people. You help those locations.
You help the community to actually get out of being a low-income area. You're going to get capital markets now to get into those areas.
And it's private money instead of public money.
Exactly. So imagine when you tokenize the offering in those areas, now you're allowing not just the super rich to get into it, now you're allowing anybody to get into it. You know what I mean? It's I get really excited about it. How real estate we can leverage it to really, help and create wealth and create abundance at
crazy. Wow. Okay. I'm losing it.
Let me tell you something, Erwin. This is what's going to happen to you now after you kind of listen to this technology, listen to it, is you'll start to really go into different levels and go, wow, this could happen. This could happen. Uh-huh. And you start to see all these different things that could happen, And it really, I became very, being in real estate 20 years, I haven't been this excited about real estate after studying this since I first got into it 20 years ago.
Right.
I really haven't. I see a really bright future for real estate. Something that, people are like, oh, this isn't that great. It's slow. And, no, it can totally change now. It can really make it, the best, not only the best asset class, but one of the most exciting asset classes to be in.
Mm-hmm. This is wild. All right, Ryan, where can people read more about this?
Yeah, they can go onto our website, realtrade.io. There's links to our, to our social media, to our Twitter and our Facebook, and to our Telegram channel.
Mm-hmm. And you said white paper. I read the one pager.
Yeah, the white pager and the white paper. The white paper really goes in the weeds. It's 75 pages long, but it really lays out what this technology can do. And we touched on it here in the show. I really appreciate you having me on, Erwin. This has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this.
This has been a lot of fun. I can't get you away. I can't let you get away though until we talk about how Canadians buy Florida real estate, though.
Oh yeah. So I've done a lot of business, here with Canadians here in Florida, investment properties, and one of the most exciting things actually that's happening for Canadians buying real estate right now is, especially with some of the younger, millennials that I've worked with, they want to buy real estate down here as an investment, make some great returns, but also use it and enjoy it. So there's a lot of great places, opportunities here through this, through new technology where you'll be able to buy homes and rent them out on Airbnb and really get some great returns, but still be able to obviously to use your property and get some enjoyment out of it too.
Right. Is that what the majority of your clientele is doing when they're not there? It's short-term rental?
Yep. Yeah, it's a great strategy. It's a great strategy. Obviously, if you can buy rentals and just do annual rentals as well too. And there's tons of opportunity for that as well. That's traditional, but the numbers that you can get through VRBO and Airbnb are incredible, and still get enjoyment.
Right.
There's one deal too I just did here that's you can rent it yourself, but there's some condo hotels here that really, I mean, the returns are getting on them. Where they take care of everything, like literally, like you don't even have to rent it out. They have a whole system. They're getting 7, 8, 9% on returns on these condo hotels right now down here in Florida.
Are they able to use them as well for their own use?
So, for instance, there's this really great one that I've actually sold a number of deals at here in Palm Beach County. It's right on the beautiful part of the beach.
Mm-hmm.
They get to use it out of 8 weeks out of the year if they put it in the rental program. Yep. So they put it in the rental program. They get a good return. Like I said, somewhere from 7 to 9% usually. In that range. Each unit's going to depend a little bit on the view and different things of what they can rent for,
mm-hmm.
but and what the purchase prices are. But then you get to use it for 8 weeks out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I've done recently quite a few deals there because I'm still doing real estate. I've done it 20 years. I'll never quit doing that. I always love selling real estate. Yeah.
So you mentioned a condo hotel. Is that the strat? What is it you're recommending to folks? Is there certain neighborhoods, or is there certain strategy
mm-hmm.
or property style like a condo hotel? That's what you're.
Yeah. So the condo hotel, they actually, they're made to have an investment return, and they handle the rentals for you. But there's certain properties you got to be careful of which ones you buy, where you can buy them in different areas, have different, regulations, but you can rent them out nightly or weekly on your own on Airbnb or VRBO, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's some good returns that way. And it doesn't have to be, a condo hotel
right.
as well. You know what I mean? That you can, but you have to be careful, in certain areas that allow that and certain areas don't. Right. So you have to do your due diligence with that and make sure, it's something, now if you're just a big investor that, buying multi-properties down, bunch of properties down, that's not as big a deal to go through the Airbnb and VRBO road, but you just buy it and rent them out,
mm-hmm.
There's plenty of deals out there that you can find that way as well.
Mm-hmm. And these buildings are being built with hurricanes in mind and stuff like that?
Okay, yeah, of course. Yeah, they have hurricane windows and doors and just about any construction now, about after 2000, has the hurricane windows and doors. A lot of them have them.
What are those? Because us Canadians aren't familiar. We don't have hurricanes, so we don't.
So they're built to withstand a certain force wind and a certain impact of for instance, like a brick or a board from the wind to a certain degree of speed.
Right.
So, yeah. And they're great. They're very energy efficient, and you don't need to put up the storm shutters. The older homes built before 2000, you have the storm shutters that you put up on your windows, which are like a corrugated aluminum shutter that you put on the window. Those are nice to have, if you don't have the impact windows.
Sounds like they'll come in handy for the zombie apocalypse too.
It's funny. I didn't think a little bit of, I don't talk a lot about myself, but I'm originally from Minnesota. So when I first came down here, I had my first experience through a hurricane. It was, I always thought it was going to be super. It was scary, but it wasn't like, the apocalypse like you think it's going to be. You know what I mean? But it's still, you want to be in a solid house when you go through one.
Right. Oh, I'm just thinking, like, from my own perspective, like, this is, I'm sure you're not, you're probably used to this. We don't know Florida that well. Yeah. And what do Canadians know about Florida? Hurricanes.
Exactly. So you have insurance for this too as well, right? You have homeowners insurance that protects you in the event that it's, Category 5 comes through. That's going to, even with the impact windows, that would be modern. They're even getting into close to, Category 5 hurricanes to protect, but that would be a tough one. But then you actually insurance for that. Yeah.
And then how does financing typically work for Canadian buying in Florida?
So the way that most of the deals that I've done for Canadians have been cash. That they pay cash and then they can refinance it later.
Right.
That's the lot of that I've done it. There are a network of that's most of the clients I've worked with, but there is private lenders that'll lend to foreign nationals. Just you have to usually typically put a little bit more down, like 20%. Of course, the rates aren't that great, but it's just almost like a brick for you then on to get more traditional financing later on.
What kind of rates have you seen for private money? Sorry, secondary market.
Yeah, I mean they're like they're higher. They're going to be like in that 6 to 7% range.
That's still not bad.
Yeah, I mean, but like traditional mortgage here in America, I mean they're very low right now. I mean, it's incredible.
Interesting.
So yeah. So there's different options out there.
So what's like your typical price range for Canadians who are buying for say a condo hotel versus if they want to buy a house?
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some nice condo hotels that you can buy from like like 250 to like 500,000 range and get a decent return on. The single family homes, medium single family home price here is like 350,000. For I know real estate. I've followed some Toronto real estate. It's very very hot market right now. It has been for a long time. And so the prices here are very attractive. Obviously,
right.
The clients that I've sold to, they couldn't imagine the great deals that they were able to get down here in Florida. Like I said, I mean, I think real estate, something to be enjoyed. If I was a Canadian, I'd get a place down here, that you can use too, and that you can rent out and get a return on.
Mm-hmm.
Have kind of the best of both worlds. Dip your toes in here, come down, get comfortable. I mean, I love where I'm at, which is Palm Beach County, which is north of Miami, about a little over an hour. So I'm in a beautiful spot here on the east coast of Florida. I mean, flights are very easy to get down here from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
The weather here is amazing. Palm Beach is quieter than Miami. But the big thing that we have here now, Erwin, here in Palm Beach, is we have what's called the Bright Line train. So we have a high-speed train now here in West Palm that'll take you down to Miami in like an hour by train. So you don't even have to drive. You go down there for the day and, obviously catch some Uber or Lyft and go. I don't even drive to Miami anymore. I just take the train. It's just way easier. And that train now is going to go from West Palm to Orlando and then able to go to Tampa. So you're going to have a high-speed train from Tampa to Orlando, West Palm Beach, and then down to Miami.
How soon is that?
It's already built. The leg from Miami to West Palm already exists. It's called the Bright Line. Excuse me. It's called the Virgin Line now because Richard Branson became the majority stakeholder in it. So it's called Virgin. He changed the name to Virgin, but it's amazing. I mean, I love it. I use it all the time, and which is great because now West Palm Beach has become like a suburb to Miami. It's like Greenwich, Connecticut to the city, to New York City, and it's very nice. Cool. I'm just not nothing against Miami. Miami's great, but there's so many people down there. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of having a lot of access, a lot of culture here in Palm Beach, county. But there's more nature area and less people. But the weather's the same. It's not like it's any cooler up here than it is in Miami. You still get that beautiful weather. The Gulf is right offshore here, so cool. A lot of things.
What airport do you use for Palm Beach County?
Yeah, Palm Beach International.
Oh, yeah, you have your own international airport too.
Palm Beach International, yeah. There's flights, from everywhere into Palm Beach International. And you can, there's flights too, into Miami or Fort Lauderdale as well. Those are two other major airports too.
How far are you from Fort Lauderdale Airport? Yeah, I do a lot of cruises, so that's the closest one that I usually go.
A lot of people fly in Fort Lauderdale. It's a little cheaper sometimes than West Palm. It's not far. You're talking, 35, 40 minutes on 95 to get up to northern Palm Beach County here. To Miami, depending on the traffic, it can be a little over an hour. Train, you're going to be about an hour. So you're close to everything. Orlando, you're about 2.5 hours. 2 hours to Orlando, 2.5 to Orlando. So it's a great location. Palm Beach County. Everybody knows Palm Beach County because Trump's here. Palm Beach Island, Mar-a-Lago. Really. There's more wealth in Palm Beach County. It's like it's one of the wealthiest counties in America as far as concentration of wealth. Yeah.
So you see when he's in town, you see all like the Secret Service and the motorcade.
Of course, when the plane flies into town, they shut down a lot of the roads so you can drive to Mar-a-Lago, and it's like a big event. I'm not I'm not a big politics guy. There's some good things, there's some bad things. So, but it is really Palm Beach County. And I've lived all over Florida. I've lived in the Keys, I've lived in Tampa, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale. This is it. Still get a great deal in real estate. It's a beautiful nature area. You're centrally located. The weather's great.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a fisherman like I am, or a diver, scuba diver, it's got some of the best diving and fishing anywhere in the state. It's only 2 hours to Bahamas by boat here. So think about that. You could go to the Bahamas in less than 2 hours. You're in the Bahamas.
You do that?
Oh yeah, take my boat over there all the time. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's like it's a great lifestyle here. If you're a boater, you have access to some of the best boating, anywhere.
Do you like dive for like lobsters and stuff like that too?
Yeah, free dives.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I can see why you moved from Minnesota.
Yeah, I still love Minnesota. It's funny because we actually have I grew up going to Ontario, Lake of the Woods, Morrison, Ontario. We have a fishing cabin up there on Lake of the Woods. That's a small world. Yeah.
That's wild. Are you still taking clients? Are you still taking Canadian clients to buy houses?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I still work with some other clients that I work with.
Yeah.
I'm still working with. Yeah. And I work, like I said, a lot with mostly investors. So we look at try and get in some good deals. I have a lot of institutional clients that I work with as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how can people reach out to you if they're interested in buying some Florida property?
Yeah, they can. They could actually. The best way to go through that would be through my website. Hang on, I have another retail space that they can go through to go to through that. Hang on one second.
For listeners' benefit, I was introduced by Ryan by a mutual friend who bought property in Florida, and that's how we got connected.
Yeah. So the best way to do it would through the website for my this is for my real estate side, not the startup side, which is realtrade.io. This is actually my other website for real estate. It's ryan.searchjupiterhomes.com.
That's a long one.
Yeah, ryan.searchjupiterhomes.com. That's my website. But then they can email me as well.
Oh, don't do that.
I know, I don't want to go out there. That's fine. Just website ryan.searchjupiterhomes.com. I mean, you can find me through RealTrade as well, but Ryan Search Jupiter Homes would be fine.
Right. That's Jupiter, Florida, folks, because we're ignorant Canadians. We don't.
Jupiter is a northern part of the county. This is where I live, and it's one of the most beautiful places. I mean, in Florida, we have a beautiful Jupiter Inlet here. The water's crystal clear. It's, like I said, it's destination ground zero if you're a diver and fisherman like myself, and there's still a lot of culture here, though. Still a lot of great restaurants and, things to do.
Yeah, I gotta come hang out with you in Charles and the Laws.
They did really well on their investments too, by the way. They did really well on theirs.
Yeah, they got horseshoes up their butt.
They got something going for them, 100%.
Yeah, no, they've always taken action. They've done very well for themselves. All right, Ryan, this has been a slice.
Yeah.
This has been wow. My brain hurts on a Friday evening.
Everything, takes some time, but you'll get excited about it. I mean, this is almost like put some enthusiasm in real estate that I hadn't, for me, that was super exciting. So,
right. Yeah. This is crazy. And also the other thing. Actually, you can vet this for me because one of the things I was thinking about how this applies to real estate is, a lot of listeners of this podcast, they own real estate. So just think if if they're in the future, what likely will happen, we move to some sort of technological money, and then basically anyone in the world you can offer up shares in your property to anyone in the world. And where you live, where I live, where I invest, where you invest, is in demand from the rest of the world. There is money trying to get into our countries all the time, and we own stuff that people want in the rest of the world. So what do you think that does to the value of what we own? It just goes up, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I've heard some scenarios of what this technology can do for the value of real estate. This is like Toronto or any of these places where people really want to be. Florida, it's pretty incredible. Some predictions that that say that when you open up a capital market into into real estate, that just, like I said, traditionally just few people have access to it. When you start to open that up, it just providing liquidity to you know, a non-liquid asset, it really changes things.
And few people always have limited access to real estate on land. So, and my takeaway
Yep.
is to own more of it.
Of course. But what's coming? I just had a conversation with this group that's they're actually working on. This is amazing. Where they'll take the digital token for real estate, for instance, on the side, and they'll lend you money on your own on the digital token, so you can leverage actual real estate tokens.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the possibilities, you know what I mean, that are there.
yeah. Because that's what banks essentially do, right? With our savings, they lend it back to us.
Yeah, I know. So it's just like, why don't we cut out the banks and just do this stuff ourselves? It's yeah.
Wow, this is heavy on a Friday.
Yeah. A lot to think about over the weekend. Thanks, Erwin. This has been great. It's been very enjoyable.
Awesome. Thank you again, Ryan, for doing this. Anyone who missed the URLs, and they'll all be in the show notes. Truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca. All right. Thank you again, Ryan. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks again for doing this.
You too. All right. Thanks, Erwin.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye.